I was working on the Soil Dove. It was a reggae show, and I was working the door, and they had kind of a separation between the door and the rest of the room. So this guy comes in, I guess he was playing solo, and he checks in with me, and he goes and he just sits down out in the audience. And, you know, the band ahead, he didn't check in with the sound guy or any of the other bands, and didn't bring in a lot of gear, so nobody realized he was there. And, you know, the band ahead of him finishes up, and the sound guy's like, well, geez, I guess we'll start the next band early, because this middle guy didn't show up. I'm like, no, he's here. Look, you know, he's there sitting in the audience. But because he hadn't checked in with the sound guy didn't know he was there, and long story short, he just ended up having to play a shorter set, because he was just sitting there going, oh, I wonder when they're going to call me to go on stage. Loading in, there's every venue's different, obviously. You know, some places are great. They got a nice loading dock and all kinds of stuff. You just pull up and you load in. Other places you got to load and unload through the front door. Sometimes they got a side door, but either way, make sure you're doing it right, because venues tend to get upset if you open the wrong door and the fire alarm goes off or whatever, or you open a door to load in and out, and customers start going in and out there. That becomes an issue. The venue is required to keep a head count of how many people are in the building at any time. And this is because of things like that place that burned down out on the East Coast, you know, while Great White was playing, and they didn't have a head count. They didn't know how many people were in there. They didn't know how many bodies to look for, or how, you know, they knew they got the survivors, but that's one of those creepy things that, you know, we gotta, when the fire department shows up, I gotta tell them this is how many people are in the club. So that's important, and that also goes for sneaking your friends in the back door. If you got friends that need to come in free, just talk to that guy at the door. He'll probably help you out. Okay? Gear. Make sure you know what to bring, what not to bring. The PA system comes to mind again. Some venues will have a backline drum kit and bass amp. At Herman's on Wednesday night, it's new band night. You got to use the house drum kit and the house bass rig, and that's just because it's very short set change time. They want bands in and out quickly, and you know, setting up a drum kit and micing it and sound checking it takes time. So, you know, make sure you know if that's what you got to do. I hate seeing drummers get all ticked off. What do you mean I can't play my own drums? Like, well, why didn't anybody tell you about this? And this is one of the common things, is one guy in the band, or maybe somebody who's not even in the band, does the booking, and then doesn't give all the details to the rest of the act. Everybody in the band needs to know everything. Even if it doesn't apply to you, it's just good to know. Can't hurt to know. What not to bring. Don't bring your guns, your switchblades, your drugs, your psycho girlfriends. Try not to do anything illegal in the venue, because there again, it's the liquor license. If illegal things are happening on the premises and the cops come in to bust the band, well, they may have an argument that says, well, you guys put these guys in here and they're all a bunch of thugs, so, you know, we're taking away your liquor license. And boom, venue's out of business. You know, that's why the venue doesn't want to put up with drugs, weapons, violence, and just people being stupid. It's all about the license. Anything else, just ask about it. You know, you got questions, call up your booking guy and say, hey, what about this, what about that? I mean, sometimes they're hard to get a hold of, or it might be easier to do an email. Sometimes they'll put a sheet with a bunch of info in with, or they'll email it to you or get it to you in some way. If they're giving you posters or whatever, they might throw it in with that. But they don't mind communicating for the most part, especially, and they know new bands, you don't necessarily know everything. You know, they'd rather have you ask a lot of questions than have you show up and screw up. Getting on stage, you want to get on stage quickly. It kind of depends, you know. I mean, if you're playing a gig where you're the only band, you're playing all night, well, you can get there plenty of time, set up, take your time, do a good sound check, and play. But a lot of clubs are doing the 4, even 5 bands a night thing, and particularly if you're in the middle, well, even if you're in the beginning, if you waste a lot of time in sound check or getting off stage, then the next band, well, either your set time's going to be cut short, or the next band is, or it gets pushed back to the headliner, and then you're pissing off the headliner because you took too much time, and their set gets cut short. They're going to say, man, I don't want these guys opening for us again. That's just bad juju. That's bad. And for the drummer in particular, the drummer's usually the hardest one to get on and off stage. He should show up early, get off to the side of the stage, unpack his gear from all the cases, set it up off to the side of the stage, so that all you got to do is pick it up and carry it onto the stage. Put it in place. That includes the cymbals and the cymbal stands and all that. It takes time to put together, especially a big, complicated drum rack. And the quicker you can get on and off stage, the happier everybody's going to be. The sound guy, okay? Don't piss off the sound guy. He's got a great big knob back there that says suck. And if you piss him off, he's going to turn it up. Actually, that's a joke, and that hardly ever happens, but it can. And usually it's more like he's not going to turn up a suck knob, he's just not going to clean up everything else to make you sound as good as possible. Most sound guys, they've got a degree in sound engineering, and they prefer that you refer to them like that. And they take it very seriously. Some of them even think they're artists and have attitude, and God help you if you got to deal with those guys. But most of them, they just want you to sound good. And unless you bring your own sound guy, you're kind of at their mercy. But it's good to just trust him and let him mix you, because he knows the room, hopefully, and he knows what's going to work. So trust him, And if you need something more in your monitors, ask for it. Ask for it politely between songs or before you start, and he'll give it to you. But at the same time, if he tells you turn down your amp, do it. If you don't turn down your amp, he's going to be forced to take you out of the mix, and out there, you may like how it sounds on stage, but you got the audience and it just sounds like nothing but guitar or whatever. And that totally sucks. When the sound guy can't do his job properly, he kind of stresses out, and then people start complaining. It's a bad thing. A couple of little ways that you can piss off the sound guy without realizing it. You're on stage and you say something like, hey, how does it sound out there, talking to your fans? Some sound guys are really sensitive, and they go, oh, that band doesn't trust me. And, and they stop working as hard. Or if you jump off the stage with your wireless mic and say, oh, okay, that sounds okay out here. They notice that stuff. They don't like to see that. And especially if you get one of those prima donna kind of guys, that doesn't go over well. So, bottom line, do not piss off the sound guy, and hopefully you'll get a good mix. Getting off the stage, that's like getting on. You want to make it quick and painless. Even if you're playing all night or you're the headliner, it's okay to take your time and schmooze a little and, sign autographs, sell CDs. But there comes a point when the entire staff of the club, they want to go home. And they've been there since, sound check. And, there are certain staff members who don't get to go home until the band is gone and the place is cleaned up. And, if you've got a bunch of stuff in the green room, they can't clean that up until you're gone. And if you got stuff all over the stage, the sound guy can't clean that up until you're gone. It's best not to delay too long. But at the same time, at the end of the night, sell your CDs, do a little schmoozing, maybe have a drink, but don't wait an hour before you start packing up. That can be a problem. Unless the staff says, hey guys, have a drink, If they love you, if it was a great night, they might do that. And then pack up and then go have a drink.